Ed O'Keefe joins us now. How are you, Ed? Good to see you on the North Lawn. So what is the latest from the White House on what Matt and Charlie and I were just talking about? Deployment, stresses, and the regionality of this conflict.
Well, the vice president on another network a little while ago was asked about Iran and said in part that the president continues to use diplomatic, military, and economic tools, he said. What I think is really going on from the inside is that we're using those tools very selectively, very strategically, to get the outcome that the president of the United States needs to get for the benefit of the American people. And he said later that this entire conflict remains a, quote, inherently unpredictable thing because the Iranians themselves are unpredictable and they sometimes don't honor the commitments they've made to us. Understatement of the week, perhaps. But it suggests that really they're still stuck here trying to sort out what exactly to do next. And despite those public pronouncements, still trying to sort out how to break the logjam there at the Strait.
And Ed, as you know, the story of the week in terms of look-in interest nationwide has been the disclosure, first by the Washington Post, then confirmed by many others, including this network, about the misdirection in Ankara, Turkey, a month ago as the president was departing the NATO summit. What more relevant things have we learned about that, including those who were on the president's plane and not?
Yeah, well, essentially what we've learned, Major, is that this was a threat that was being tracked by the Secret Service, the CIA, the National Security Agency. They all worked together to inform the president and come up with this ruse. Given that the blue and white old school Air Force One was already in Turkey, made pulling this off a little easier. Bringing in that other smaller 757 that the president ultimately flew out on was part of that, ultimately. Remember, the new plane had been sent to the UK already out of concern that it was vulnerable to part of this attack. And our sense is that they were brought up by the president suggesting that the new plane had to go to the UK so the troops could take a look at it. We knew that was an odd cover story to begin with, and this all began when they admitted that the new plane wasn't ready. As for who was on which plane, the president, the defense secretary, and a handful of key, closer personal aides, including Walt Nauta, who was indicted with him in the Mar-a-Lago classified docs case, Dan Scavino, the deputy chief of staff, and Natalie Harp, one of his closest assistants, were all funneled onto that catering truck and taken to the other plane, while back on the bird that we thought was carrying the president to the UK was the Secretary of State and the Treasury Secretary, plus Stephen Miller, a handful of other senior White House staff, support staff, and dozens of Secret Service agents and journalists. And that is sort of the manifest as we know it at this point. This remains a topic of intrigue around here, certainly for those that were on the flight or might have been on the flight had it been their turn to fly in the pool. But other than that, the White House isn't commenting. And it's part of the reason we believe why we have not seen the president much in the last few days, because they don't want him taking questions on this specific topic, given the intrigue around it and the potential for the president, frankly, to say some things he probably shouldn't say or reveal.
And very quickly, Ed, speaking of taking questions, any sense at all as to who might replace Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt when she departs at the end of this month?
I think it's best for us to say that there are names circulating, but we don't know for certain who is definitely on that list. But it is a topic of conversation as well, and one the president is mulling over.
As we say in Washington, just wait for the great mentioner. The great mentioner will have your name. Ed O'Keefe, thank you very much.